Hey, what's going on, guys? I've had a couple of people ask me to do this video of how I make my own saltwater rigs. I know a lot of people that are new to saltwater fishing or go fish off the bridge and stuff buy these little pre-made rigs like you get at Walmart. This one's courtesy by Tim Kidwell. Tim, how you doing, man? Thanks for letting me borrow this. I'm glad I was able to hook you up and give you a little lesson. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the first time I took Tim Kidwell out saltwater fishing, I gave him a little lesson on how to tie your own saltwater rigs. I said, guys, don't buy these. This is junk. I mean, look at all this terminal tackle that you're putting in the water. You know, you get all these beads, and this is probably about 100 to 120 pound mono leader. And what a lot of people do is they buy these and they put it on something like 12, 14 pound test, whatever little startup rod they buy, and they go fishing off the bridge, and this gets hung up on something like oysters or rock. They break it off, they break all these off, and now they're all down there for all of us trying to fish along the bridge to catch mangrove snapper and sheep's head for everyone else to get hung up on, and it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. So if you watch this video, learn what I'm about to teach you, and you don't have to buy these no more. You can just use your main line that you have tied on already. Now, for my demonstration, I got big pieces of yellow braid. It's just to help you see it better here on the camera. This is like 135 pound braid. This is for my shark rod. I'm not using this. Usually when I saltwater fish, it's anywhere from like 20 pound braid on my spinning reels to like 30 or 50 on my bait cast reels. When I'm inshore fishing, that is. Offshore, of course, you bump that up for grouper and, you know, snapper and things like that. But today is mostly focusing on rigs you use inshore. But you can also apply these offshore as well. But let's dive into it. So we're going to jump right into it with how to make one of these rigs on your main line. A lot of people call them a fish finder rig, a chicken rig, double bait rig, whatever you want to call it. It has many names, but this is the most commonly one that people use. I'm going to show you how to make that with your main line now. Okay, guys, we're going to pretend this is your main line, and this is going to be the end of your main line. Just go ahead, make a loop, tie like you were just going to do a regular overhand knot. So we're going through 2 times instead of only once. So overhand loop. You want to tighten it down. And this is going to be the bottom of your rig. What you do with this loop, you can take your bank sinker, pyramid sinker, whatever you got. You can take this loop, run it through, and loop it on, and there's your weight. And then when you're ready to run or move somewhere, instead of this swinging around and getting hung up all over your rods, you can just take it and do the reverse of the loop. Open it up. You can take it right off your sinker. Alright. Now we're going to move up. So we'd had our sinker down here. We're going to come up a couple inches. Make yourself a bigger loop, say about 4 or 5 inches or so. Same thing. You'll do an overhand knot. So we're going to run the end of your line, like I said, 2 times. Tie a knot. Now you got a spot right here in the middle. Grab it right here in the middle. Same thing, overhead knot or overhand knot 2 times. Put your knot in the middle. There you go. Go up the line again. Probably about 6 inches or so. Hold your finger there. Get your loop. This is it. It's so easy. All it is just overhand knots. Tighten it down. Go over the middle. Of course, mine's being difficult on me right now. It's a double overhand knot. Tighten it down. Starting to look familiar, isn't it? One loop, two loop, sinker, all on your main line. And it has loops on the end, just like the sinker. I mean, this is over exaggeration of a hook, but I just wanted to show you. Take it through. Well, I had it through the eye of the hook. Take it through the eye of the hook. Run it over. Pull it back tight. Now you got your hook on there. And of course you would put the next one down on the bottom. And then the sinker up here on the very bottom of it. So you just run it through. Go around your hook. There's your second hook. Through your sinker. Around your sinker or your weight. And there it is. Fish finder rig. Didn't have to go to Walmart and buy anything. And if these break off, you just lose the one. You don't lose the whole rig. If your weight gets hung up, it's going to break down here. If one of these hooks get hung up on something, it's going to just break right here. But having that loop and having that line doubled up right here on the end of the knot is going to make it stronger. I mean, you're doubling the line essentially, just like a Palomar knot on here. It's not going to go anywhere. Same thing, you want to change hook size out. Just loosen it up. Take your loop, run it over. Now you change hook sizes out. Alright, the next rig we're going to tie up is what a lot of bass fishing guys call a Dropshot rig. You would use this if you're fishing beside pilings, or if you wanted to hold your bait just a little bit up off the bottom, and that way you can use it for a sheep's head, or you know, let's say there's some grass and you just want to keep the bait just above the grass. You can use this rig. This is the same rig that I tied for Tim Kidwell when I took him out sheep's head fishing. Same thing, this is the tag end of your main line. What you're going to do is go probably about a foot up, 10 to 12 inches up the main line. And you're going to take your hook and you're going to tie a Palomar knot. And essentially that's all a Dropshot rig is. It's just a Palomar knot with a long tail on it that you don't cut off. That way you can add your weight down on the bottom. Just take your hook, do a Palomar, just take your hook. Do an overhand knot. Get your loop. Go around the whole hook. And tighten it down. And that is one of the strongest fishing knots out there, if not the strongest. It's the one that I tie 98% of the time. And what you want to do is, primarily if you have a tag in, that hook should stand straight up. You want the J part of the hook facing up, just like so. That way when the fish grabs it, it's going to hook him perfectly in the top of the mouth when you come through and hook him. Like I said, this is a J hook. You would want to use, this is a circle hook. You would want to use the J hook because this is more like feel. When you're holding this, you're keeping the line pretty tight. That way you can feel the bite. There's no weight in between you and the bait. You're in direct contact with that hook. The weight's down here. Unlike say like a knocker rig or a Carolina rig, which I'm going to be showing you guys here later, which you feel the weight and the fish takes off, you're going to be in direct contact with that hook. Now if you mess up and the hook's facing downward like that, don't worry, it's okay. What you do is, if your hook's facing down and this is your tail end, take the tail end of your line and run it back through the eye of the hook, and that will kick it out to where it's facing up. Alright, tied your Palomar knot on your hook, you got it facing the way you want it to. Next step we're going to do is put our weight on the end of the hook, or on the end of the line, just like our double bait rig or fish finder rig. You're going to take your loop, 2 overhand knots, go through whatever weight you're using, and of course the size of the weight determines how much current or where the depth that you're fishing at. Put your weight on there, and there you go. There's your Dropshot rig. Like I said, works great around bridge pilings or vertical obstacles. That way you can put it right next to it and have your bait close to those pilings if fish are feeding on the side of those pilings, or like I said, if you got grass and you want to keep your hook up here out of the grass. Alright, next rig is going to be a Carolina rig, or some people call them a slider rig, or just standard bottom fishing rig, which is going to require 2 pieces of line. You would use a fluoro or mono leader a lot of times. I'm just, like I said, I'm just using these 2 pieces of braid because they're bright and I want to show you what to do. So pretend this is the monofilament or fluoro and this is your main line. A lot of people use egg sinkers. I like to use these little Sea Striker sliders. These got a little plastic sleeve on them up here at the top, and then down here you can clip and unclip them, so that way you can take your weight on and off just like earlier with everything else. That way when I'm running or paddling upstream or moving somewhere or putting these in the truck, these weights are not swinging around getting your line all tangled up, and this slides very well. Now what I like to do when I'm making this particular rig is I tie everything on my leader first, especially the swivel, because I like to put Palomar knots on everything. So I know you guys can barely see it. It's a little bitty swivel right here. Well, that's a 60-pound swivel. Same thing, Palomar knot. Go through the eye of the hook. You're going to double your line up on it. Overhand knot. Take the whole swivel through the loop that you just made. Tighten it down. And cut off the excess, of course. Take your big old hook. Double your line. Overhand knot. Bring it down, but don't tighten it all the way. Put your whole hook through it. Tighten it up. Then snip off your tag end. Alright, now we got our hook and our swivel right here, and then this is your main line. Now when you're rigging up your main line, first thing you want to put on is take your little plastic slider, run that on first, And then we're going to put on a little plastic or glass bead on next. And what purpose this serves is like a bumper. So when you get that weight sliding against this knot that we're about to tie on the swivel, it's not going to wear down that knot and cause it to fray or break. Now the reason I tied this first is if I had this tied on first, there's no way I could do a Palomar knot on this end of the swivel. Now when I do a Palomar knot, I can just go around this whole rig. So now I have Palomar knots on everything, and I have the strongest knot that I can tie on all this stuff. So just pull the whole rig right through it. The only thing bad about braid, especially this, when it's this freaking strong, it wants to catch on everything. Good thing I had my pliers on me because I was just out fishing the pond a second ago. Like I said, normal, like your normal line, you don't have to worry about that. This is just such thick and heavy braid, it's gonna catch. But anyway, there's your whole rig. There's the slider part of it. Like I was saying, it has this little clip right here. You squeeze the top of it, slide this little sleeve up, opens up, take your weight, put it on, squeeze the bottom, and slide the sleeve back down. Now you can keep tension on your line, but when a fish grabs it and pulls it in, he's not going to feel the weight. He can just go and go and go. Or like I said, if you want to, you can leave it tight. That way you can see that rod. I like to leave just a little bit of slack because I do use circle hooks for this rig. That way he gets it in there good and he sets the hook on itself using a circle hook. But there you go, Carolina rig slash slider rig. Now if you were going to use this, like if for my bass fishing friends, if you're watching this out of curiosity, you have to use the egg sinker to use this as a Carolina rig for bass fishing, because that egg sinker is going to be easier to pull through the sand and the dirt and everything. This is primarily for saltwater, made to throw out and leave. You're not really moving this rig around a lot. You're throwing it out there and letting it sit. Oh, and as for the leader, I generally like to have about a foot and a half long leader. And when I'm saltwater fishing inshore, I'll use about a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. If I'm going out offshore, you want to bump that up probably, like especially if there's grouper, you know, there's grouper and things like that in the area, I'd bump that up to a 50-pound leader of fluoro. Alright guys, the last rig I'm going to show you is like a double bait rig. It's kind of a new way to or like the first one I showed you, but with a little bit of a twist. Instead of having a sinker and two weights, we're going to have two baits, and our sinker is going to be our jig head. Now this is like a little 3/8 jig head. Normally if I was using this rig, I'd use like a 3/4 ounce or a 1 ounce jig head. But I'm just using this for demonstration purposes to show you guys how to tie it. And then right above it, you either use like a little feather or a bucktail trailer like this one right here. I know up north, like New Jersey, New York, this is really popular with guys that catch fluke. I haven't had the chance to try it down here in Florida, but the opportunity really hasn't presented itself because you need to fish places that are like inlets or sandbars, and either you can cast this or you can just drift along, and as you go over sandbars and just have these go up and down along the sandbars. And especially during the summertime when all the flounder are moving back in, this works great on them. I'm going to show you, like I said, this is your main line. Like I said, this would be your main line. Instead of the sinker, you're going to have your jig head down on the bottom. I'm going to tie my Palomar knot. like I do with everything. Move her down. Tighten her up. Cut off my excess there, and alright, now I'm going to move up probably about 10-12 inches. Get my loop just like before. A little dropper loop, I believe is what they call these. Do my little overhand knot again, except for doing it twice, looping it twice inside. Tighten it up. Go through the eye of your hook. Tighten it up on your little bucktail. And there you go. You get your jig head down at the bottom, and you get your bucktail just above it. Now you can dress these with gulp or mud minnows or mullet or anything you would like, or you can make this, you know, another feather jig head with this up here, or just a plain hook with live bait up here on the top. It's whatever way you want to do it. You can mix and match it. You can have two flukes. A lot of people do that for trout. They'll put a fluke on the top and a fluke on the jig head. That works real well. Except for flounder though, I'm probably going to try actually using this a couple of times this summer for flounder. I'm going to have me a mud minnow up here on top on this little bucktail, and I got a 1 ounce jig head bucktail. I'll probably put a mullet on there on the bottom. Well, there you go, guys. There's my 4 do-it-yourself saltwater rigs. I know a lot of people have a top 5, but those are the 4 rigs I most commonly use. So do yourself a favor, save yourself some money. Don't be going to Walmart or your local tackle shop and buying these pre-made rigs when you got the line on your reel that you can use to make your own rigs right there on the spot. Instead of, oh man, well, I lost my fishing rig, I guess I'm done. No, you're not. Just take what I taught you just now and apply it, and I hope you succeed with it. Like I said, leave me some comments down below if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help you the best I can. And if it does help you out, leave me a thumbs up, because it helps me out, right? Remember, we do more in Dinsmore. I'm Joe with Dinsmore Outdoors, and I thank you for watching. We'll see you out there.